All right, we are live. Welcome to the very first episode of the Press Start podcast. Hold on, I'm allergic to Earth. Yeah.
Prodigious beginning.
Every podcast needs an inaugural sneeze. So
it's auspicious as hell.
Start. All right, I am one of your hosts, JT Eberhard. With me is my co-host, Nicole. To introduce her to the rest of you, Nicole is a coder in the porn industry. So if nothing else, we've got great advertising. She's an occasional contributor to my blog, What Would JT Do blog. She lives, eats, and breathes Destiny right now. God damn it, I'm allergic to X podcast and sound to be great. And
he's allergic to porn.
He swells up. It's true.
Yeah.
Everything gets swollen when I watch porn. It's terrible. Really awesome. So she likes story-driven games. With us as well is Cecil, one of the co-hosts of the Cognitive Dissonance podcasts. He likes RPGs and strategy games and plays Guild Wars 2. He's also a fencer to up the nerd cred. Welcome, Cecil. Here's to you.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right, and also with me are the hosts of the Game Theory and God Theory podcast. First up, the sexy David Drake in his teacher garb. David's a former Mormon missionary who's teaching French in Colorado to work off grad school loans. He's got a master's in French Lit, and now he co-hosts the two aforementioned podcasts and games on the PC when he's not in magical Wii U whimsical adventures. Welcome, David, to the show.
Bonjour, JT.
That's some top-level French.
That's genuine French. For those of you who don't know, it means I think it's like how are you, something like that.
Okay. It sounds like every American opera singer trying to sing French. Bonjour. There's actually I'm drinking, so Handel's Messiah. There's the one thing, comfort me, my people. One time there's this really popular Asian opera singer who was bad at pronunciation, came over to the States and pronounced it, comfort me, my people. So now that story's out of the way. And the last person on our panel today, Jeremiah. Studying music, and now I'm poor. Jeremiah Bean, who's in clinical psychology at the University of Mississippi. He also co-hosts the Game Theory and God Theory podcasts. He's an all-around superhero, enjoys one MOBA, Heroes of the Storm, RPGs, and pretty much plays everything. Welcome, Jeremiah, to the show.
Hey, what's up? Glad you are having me. So hopefully we'll... Oh, and also we've been friends for a while, JT. You didn't even announce that, man. We've been friends.
That's true. Well, I didn't want to sound like biased. I feel like the moderator at the debates. I don't want to sound like, yeah, I know the candidates.
Oh.
You should mention that we almost died trying to play Final Fantasy VII in your cold
basement. You tell this story all the fucking time.
Okay, so I've got to blow my nose or I'm going to die. It's going to be awkward. And it's a great time for me to leave the room because you guys get to tell that goddamn motherfucking story. You tell that story. I'll be right back.
Gosh, I don't even know if I remember it, David. Do you?
I don't know. I think it was something like this. He invited us over to his house in high school, and we're like, oh, this JT guy seems like a fun time. Let's go over there.
But we get there, and the first thing he says is, come in quick. My parents don't know you're here. And we're like, wait, what? And then he's like, yeah, get downstairs quick. And his room's in the downstairs basement. So we go down there. And the worst part is he was ill-prepared for guests. I'll say it lightly. I'll say it very lightly. Because he says, hey, I don't know where you guys are going to sleep, but there's the ground. I'll sleep here. And then
we're 14. We don't have cars, so we're just stranded there at his house with his parents not knowing we're here. We're in the basement on the floor. He gives us one blanket to share between the two of us, and then says, "I'm gonna be back in like 72 hours. I haven't saved my game in a while, so don't touch the PlayStation."
There's only one thing in the whole room, and it's a PlayStation. We can't turn the lights on, or his parents will know. So we're just staring at this glowing screen, and it's Final Fantasy VII, and we can't unpause it. We can't, play our own games. He's like, "Don't touch it." So we're just sitting there, like, rolling around, freezing, like, trying to make conversation so our lips don't freeze. And then, like, some godly messiah, his brother comes down, like, 24 hours later. He just goes, boom, opens the door, and it's like, oh, and he goes, dude, my parents have been gone for, like, 24 hours, bro. You guys want some food? And they're like, oh, my God. I've never eaten so much and enjoyed shitty oven fries in my life.
You know how many gay porn movies we have start with that whole entire thing?
We were ahead of our time.
Well, we didn't have to pay for them.
And then the orgy happened.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Fuck all of you. Okay, so moving on. Now, Nicole, you just got Gears of War 4, and I've heard nothing but good reviews about it. Sell me on Gears of War 4. Why is it so good? Is it? What did you say earlier, David? It's got twice as many gears as Gears 2.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Twice the gear. Gear squared.
He's pretty accurate, actually. If you content-wise, it does have. I'm trying to think of like what I could say to somebody who is not. Have you ever played any of the Gears of War games?
Yes. I played Gears 1 and 2.
If you've played 1 and 2, then you don't even bother with 3. 3 wasn't any. It was like they went all kitschy or cliched with it, and it.
So it's like Mass Effect 3.
It was silly. Yeah, it was very silly, and then. There was another one that was before 4. They just kind of ignored that one, I guess.
Okay.
It was not good either. And so it looks like what they decided to do was go through 1 and 2, a little bit of 3 because of the environmental stuff they have with it, and keep all of the really smooth mechanics and environmental. They did a huge overhaul environmental-wise with it. Kept all that stuff and put it all together, and this is going to sound strange, but it is an incredibly massive open world but very tight game. That's like the only way I can describe it, and it sounds so.
I feel like every adjective you use makes me think of porn now.
Open-minded, but very
overwhelming.
I get
12 inches of gameplay.
Yes, exactly.
Almost twice as much gameplay.
That is funny.
I love it. Huge gameplay. All right, so the topic on the table today is MMOs, which I'm pretty sure we've all played at one point or another. I know Cecil plays Guild Wars. We played WoW. Nicole, have you ever been into MMOs?
Oh god, yeah. I played.
Okay,
mine wasn't WoW too much. I played that a little bit. I played EverQuest and EverQuest 2 for like 13 years.
Is Destiny an MMO?
Yeah, does that count?
I guess you could possibly call it that. It's like a first-person shooter MMO. Basically.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
All right, Cecil, let's open up with you since you haven't said a whole lot so far, contrary to your personality, as it were. What draws people to MMOs? These things are more popular than your standard RPGs, where you can have richer environments, a lot more fighting effects, a more rich fighting system. What attracts people to this genre?
You know, I don't know that I can speak to what attracts people. I can speak to what attracts me, and really, it's world building for me. I think that
Here's your chance to speak for every gamer ever. Go.
No, do not fuck this up.
I will say world building is really high on the list, and I think I have played several different MMOs, and one of my favorites they took off within like 2 years. It was called Tabula Rasa. I don't know if you guys remember this one.
Oh yeah.
But Richard Garrett, who has created some other MMOs, created that one specifically, and it was amazing. It had its really cool world, and one of the things that they did, which I thought was pretty amazing, was, and this was back before anybody else had done this, they had a way to sort of get the creatures and the NPCs in the game to sort of fight each other, and you had to be part of that. And they would occasionally take over bases and things and sort of remove resources from other people and from other players. And it really worked out great. It was really neat. It was sort of had this siege sort of feel where you had to keep on taking things back, and there was a back and forth, and I thought that was really cool. And other games have utilized this, like Rift has done this, and Guild Wars 2 does this as well. It's a really cool idea to sort of like have like the computer against the people, and it's a really fun. I think that's really fun, and you don't really get that. You don't really get that feeling, especially when you can like sort of hang out with other people and sort of interact with that content in any other kind of form, I think.
All right, Jemai and David, I know you guys used to play World of Warcraft back in the day, so you're not opposed to this genre. What attracted you to it? And I know you guys have left the genre. So not only what attracted you to it and got you involved in it, and what failed to keep you in it?
Boobs.
I'm
It's gotta be the boobs.
75 days sober, so I just want to put that out there. I haven't MMO'd in a while, but
Back on the wagon.
yes, or is it off the wagon? The downsides of MMOs to me, I played the Oblivion or the Elder Scrolls MMO recently, and it kind of exemplified my problem with Guild Wars 2 and a lot of MMOs is that they want to make a good story, you need a good hero. And an MMO by its nature is about anonymity and like this massive people, the massively part of the MMO acronym is everybody's a hero and there's hundreds of us. So you do Elder Scrolls and it's like the whole opening of it was like, you are the chosen one, escape from the gates of hell and go forward and save us all. And as I'm leaping through the portal, I look to my left and right and there's 8,000 other chosen ones going through the portal coming out of the real world.
You're all in the same jail. We're all the only people.
One. Yeah, it was like the Lego movie where I'm like, wait, is the chosen one with me?
And it wouldn't be so bad if it was like, Anduin or something, but it's like usually like Dick Balls 32, and I'm like, damn it, that's not Dick Balls.
Yeah, not Dick Balls 32. And then like
that means there's 31 other Dick Balls. God.
Of course, she tried to get out of it by being like, okay, you're not the chosen one. It's this guy who's a plant necromancer. He's the hero now. You're his best friend, the sidekick. I'm like, well, that doesn't really solve the problem. Now I just have to be a sidekick.
Okay, now I'm a shitty sidekick. Yeah.
What I liked about World of Warcraft was it wasn't so much that they tried to make me the hero of the story, but I just got to live in a fun world with my buddies, and we got to do like a lot of teamwork stuff. It was only ever fun when my friends were playing. When we one by one stopped playing it, I just stopped logging in because it was like, well, can't do PvP, can't do raids. Like I don't want to team up with some guy who spells Rogue Rouge and then gets us all killed in like the first 5 minutes of the raid.
That's fucking Dick Balls 32 for you every time.
Dick Balls 32 is the worst Rouge.
Every time.
Yeah, we used to actually decide who we'd allow to join our party by asking which class can stealth and pick locks. And if they spelled it Rouge, they were out.
They're kicked. They're going to get you killed.
And they were always so confused by that.
But now, Nicole, you said you were in it for 13 years. Do you still play MMOs?
Just the Destiny. We stopped with the other.
So what... God damn it!
May the force be with you.
I'm gonna die. I brought the whole roll because I'm gonna need it.
I'm not editing this.
Fuck me, stupid. All right.
I see that in porn a lot too.
I got the whole roll.
All right, Nicole. Why did you leave the genre? What failed to keep you, and what could bring you back?
Basically, I saw how many games I was missing by playing the exact same game over and over again, and it was definitely people that kept me playing it. My husband and I both are huge gamers, so we would eat in our office at home as our computers and stuff so that we could make sure we were rating 8 hours, all that kind of stuff. So having something that both of us could be so into instead of it just being single player games. But then it just got to where, I don't know, I guess the whole trying to make money off of things, like they put in inline or online stores for your gear and stuff like that. I think they may have did it before WoW really jumped on that bandwagon, and it just was, I guess it just got to where people were talking about other things, and I'm like, oh, that sounds like a really good game. And then I would try, and I'd be sitting there playing something, but then in the back of my mind thinking, I'm not rating, so I can't pick up what I need to get because we were in like a very high level guild at the time. So, with those kinds of games, you're giving up so much other stuff if you want to actually be very competitive at it. I mean, you can casual game it, sure, but if you get the little draw in that gets you addicted to being, oh, I got this awesome piece of loot. The only way I was able to do it was to raid like a motherfucker in order to get it. So then that's what you want to keep doing. And so finally I got to where...
Balls running around with a sword, you just
Exactly, yeah.
Dick Balls doesn't have that sword.
So World of Warcraft still far and away the most popular MMO on the planet. Even though it's ancient, the graphics are outdated. A lot of the quest system, a lot of the way they approach MMOs fails to incorporate all the recent developments that kind of advance the enjoyability of MMOs. But yet it's still so popular. Jeremiah, you're in psychology. Why do so many people still play this game?
My goodness, I was hoping you'd ask.
Oh well, there you go.
There's research done on that kind of thing, like motivations for gaming. There's even like some validated questionnaires and whatnot based on that. And what's interesting is, different people play for different things. Some of it's autonomy, like being able to be like, oh, like people who like self-sustaining roles, maybe like a Rouge. You've heard of Rouges. Rogues are like hybrid classes.
In every way.
Yeah, things like that.
It needs to be like Around the Horn on ESPN. I just need a mute button for everybody who pisses me off.
Yeah. Hey, well, there you go.
Guy, continue. So why do people keep playing this game?
Yeah, but I think, okay, so I think the problem is this. It's exactly like Nicole said, where the World of Warcraft came out, and it wasn't just another MMORPG. It was an MMORPG that's already sold you on the world. People already knew where Azeroth was. They played Warcraft 1, 2, and 3. You're roughly familiar with Warcraft. Most people were, at least in the beginning, in the alpha or the beta when I got in.
All the codgers like us, like we played Warcraft 2. Had the soundtrack right on the CD, just pop it in the CD player.
Hey, I'm an old piece of shit, but I play video games. So they a big part of that draw was, oh my gosh, I want to be part of that world. So like David said, you don't have to be a hero to sell the story, or you want to just go live in that world and be a part of it. Well, the problem past that is that new MMORPGs typically have to resell the world, other than like, Star Wars Galaxies or something like that. And so, which is fine, it's worth the buy-in. What you're asking them is to put in a lot of time on the forefront, right? It's almost like saying, hey, will you invest in our game with us, right? This long, because the real game starts at maybe a lot of games starts like 20 or 30 when you've got enough abilities where you can start outplaying other people, because in the first few levels, you're not really free, nobody's going to be watching videos of you and going,
you're helping feed the local cows just to get up to level 20. Yeah. Like you're scooping dog shit.
Look at him brew that Westfall soup.
Best goddamn stew ever. So yeah, you're not really outplaying or doing anything interesting. So I think the problem is now, World of Warcraft came out in a time where other MMORPGs weren't that popular, other than EverQuest or EverCrack, as you call it. And so it opened up a whole new market, plus it drew people from that market because of the updated graphics, and maybe they're familiar with that world as well. But the problem back then was they still had bumps in numbers. They would report sometimes their numbers and say, okay, we had a little bump because these new games came out, but people will be back. But now with other MMORPGs coming out trying to compete with it, it's hard because people are like, oh, I've already sunk so much time. You'll hear them say this. I've already sunk so much time into World of Warcraft. I'm not going to move on to Guild Wars. I've already got this guild and everything set up. And so it's just MMORPGs is really asking for a large investment. And so it has to be enticing enough to pull them away from other markets, and also to make the person agree to pay per month for it usually.
Yeah, and a lot of MMOs are built around a concept that we call grinding, which is a word that means doing something you hate over and over again.
Or something you love over and over. You know what I'm talking about.
Wow. But like, that's, you've got those, what are those little boxes called, Jeremiah, where you unethical psychologists drop rats in there and then they push a lever?
Skinner box. Yeah.
Skinner box. You get like a Skinner box.
Oh, the unethical stuff. Yeah, I didn't know right off the top of my head.
When you're abusing animals. Yeah, like it's a Skinner box for humans. And so, like Nicole was saying, you eventually will get that super sword. And then you're like, well, now I got to get the others. I got the super helmet. But it's going to take another 18 hours of a part-time job, which is my rating schedule.
Yeah, it has to do with reinforcement schedules. We actually did a whole episode on that in our thing, because people are like, why am I so addicted to this? That's the question they ask a lot. Me having researched video games before, and it's always a long answer, but a big part of it is reinforcement schedules, behaviorism. Yeah, and so it is really interesting. There's different ways to get rats to poke their nose in things, or pigeons to spin around in circles and things like that, or humans to do literally whatever you want them to. And so you get them to do that through behavioral principles.
You're making me feel like a real piece of shit, dude.
You should.
Oh, it's fine.
I wonder. It's interesting. One of the things that I wonder is, so with Guild Wars 2, for example, they have a way in which you can use real currency, your money you earn in the real world, to transform that into gems, and then gems can trade for gold, and so then you could buy things with gold. I wonder how people feel about getting, say, a really rare sword. One of them is called Twilight in Guild Wars 2. If you were to get Twilight just by spending your own money that you earned in the real world over all the stuff that you did building up to it, to get all the materials you would need to craft that.
They actually had a thread about that on Reddit, and the consensus I got is most people didn't care because it's not a power increase over any other weapon. Like in Guild Wars, you have your
it's all the same,
ascended weapons, which are as statistically impressive as you can get.
Yeah.
And you're really just getting the legendary for the cosmetic and the ability to swap stats on the fly. But like you can't get a performance edge over other players. So I don't think anybody really cared then. It's the ones where you can like buy the super sword that makes you a bigger badass.
Yeah.
Where people
pay to
give a
play
shit.
sort of thing.
Yeah, that was, so there was research done on this far before the public has already caught on to this. I think people say that term exactly, pay to play, and then
you mean pay to
which
win?
is what Pay to win, yeah, or I think they said pay to play.
Pay to win. Pay to win. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Pay to win, maybe it was. But anyway, they came up with this concept of why people don't like it, and it was about power incrementalism. I forgot the technical term for it in the literature, but you get the idea. If it makes you more powerful based on how much more you pay, that ticked people off. If it puts them in a different tier, because people don't mind things like skins, and that's why, like, MMOs a lot of times will do skins. So they make tons of money because it's worth buying things just to impress your friends and other people. And hence why one of the reasons why MMOs took off is because that social aspect. Most people rank social somewhere inside of their top 10 reasons why they report. So it's interesting.
Now, how many of you guys remember the original MMOs? I'm talking about MUDs.
Yeah. Oh
Yes.
yeah, Dark and Shattered Lands.
Jesus.
That's what I'm talking about.
Nicole, do you play MUDs?
I did. When I worked at AOL, there was one that was like a so just nothing but text that run around all of the teams, and a bunch of us would play it. And I can't remember for the life of me what the name of it was, but yes, I'm familiar with it. Yes, I am that old too.
For those of you who don't know what MUDs are, it's an acronym for multi-user domain. It was like an MMO, but in only text. It was only text, but it was the first time we could, like, because we all grew up on these console RPGs where we play the lead character and that's it. And everyone sits around and watches you play Chrono Trigger or watches you play Final Fantasy VI. And now for the first time, we can all get into this world together and interact. And it was really a unique thing at the time. And I think it was the precursor of MMOs.
Hierarchies would happen, like kingdoms would form and clans and guilds. And
David, you were the king of the Shalinov.
You were!
The Elven Realm. I was king of the Elven Realm, so I mean that does get me laid a lot now.
Kind of a big deal.
Also on your CV.
All right,
It's
so
on my CV.
I want everybody here as a group. I will give ourselves 12 and a half minutes. I feel like this is kind of like whose line is it anyway. The points and the time limits don't matter. But design your own MMO. What would you change of Guild Wars, of World of Warcraft? What would you keep? What would be your perfect MMO? And Cecil, you've been quiet for a bit. Let's start with you.
I love a lot of things about Guild Wars. I love the combat system. I think the combat system is unique. It's a very interesting way that combat happens. I also like the way in which the world interacts with you. Big events happening and people not having to form into groups to sort of.
So from Guild Wars 2, you would keep the skills you have in combat changing with the weapon you have equipped. Yeah,
but one thing I will say this. I love a sci-fi advanced weapon game, and I haven't run into a single MMO that does that well. Even Star Wars: The Old Republic, which I played a lot, did not do a very good job of making a fun MMO that had advanced weapon technology, something that was more than just a sword or magic. And it was the Tabula Rasa was the closest thing. So if it had that would be amazing. Something that's not fantasy based. Because
I think David shares that disgust with you. I know he doesn't care for. Like, I think he just thinks, David, that the fantasy genre has been completely overdone with this type of game, right?
Yeah, like you, JT, you tend to get really excited when a new MMO is announced, and to me, they all seem the same. It's like some Korean-like thing that is a generic fantasy with big busted elves, which, I'm excited about big busted elves too, but, like, they're all so samey. Like, it's hard to tell them apart anymore. Like, what was that one that we got into a few years ago for like 2 days, and then another one? Like, it's just over and over again. But then, and again, Star Wars is probably the most space agey one I can think of. Or what was that one that you liked like a year ago? It was like a steampunk sci-fi where you start off on a spaceship and you escape.
Oh man, yeah, brick. Oh, I can't even think of it now.
Put it in the show notes because that was trying to do that where you'd have like missile launchers and flamethrowers and
so would any of you set the MMO you design in a fantasy world, or would you even have fantasy elements like Guild Wars does, the fantasy landscape with some steampunk aspects, or would you just avoid it entirely?
Hell yeah, I would. Like, you could even put like I kind of like I guess it's called etherpunk. I don't know if you heard of that. It's like magic and steampunk stuff. I think that stuff's pretty rad. So I would do something
like a Shadow. Help me out here. Game for the Genesis. Tabletop system. Shadowrun. Thank you.
I think it's Shadowfuck, to be honest with you. I think I was right. Yeah, kind of like that. Like I think that's really cool. Yeah, and Guild Wars 2 did it too. You had the engineer class, right? But maybe you start integrating those, and yeah. So I would. I was just answering your question.
Okay, so here's mine, JT, because I've been thinking about this for our episode. We're actually doing a design your dream game thing, so my mind's been in this realm already. Taking what Jeremiah said about Warcraft and Star Wars, one of the things that you want is automatic buy-in. So I'm thinking get a franchise that people already like, but also steampunk and fantasy mixed together. So I'm thinking an Avatar Legend of Korra MMO where you choose what kind of bender you want to be at the beginning. Airbender, firebender, water, earth.
Or my brother would be all about this.
So good, so good. And then I don't know, let's get crazy. Maybe one random character is the Avatar until he dies and gets reincarnated, some new character that gets made the next time.
Oh shit! There's your hype machine.
And then the combat system would be just like all kung fu based. So it's like a kung fu kind of Eastern steampunk flavor. I think
Like Matrix Online kind of was.
Yeah.
Make sure you copyright that before we release this.
Yes. So Nickelodeon, just so you know, that's my idea. I came up with Avatar.
I will sue you with all $1,000 I've got in the bank. All 1,000.
So we wouldn't touch the generic fantasy landscape. Okay. What else? How would you fix combat? How would you fix story and lore?
Terra is the combat in Terra is fucking fun, and I'm gonna explain why. Because Terra is a beautiful game, but the reason why it's so fun is this. If you execute your moves perfectly, okay, so FPSs, MMO FPSs, for example. No, not MMO FPSs. Fuck that. FPSs, let's talk about those purely. You're as good as your execution. You'll watch these videos and people will go through like an area and they'll headshot in one shot like an entire team, right? There's this ceiling, the skill ceiling is through the roof, right?
Me.
Our Destiny player chimes in.
This motherfucker. No, okay, so there's that. But in MMORPGs, typically that's not the case. It's about your gear and your how much HP you've got, your build, your talents, whatever it is, right? It's built on a different fundamental idea that, well, if you've done all the things you're supposed to do, now you can take down this raid boss, right?
And no matter how good you are, if you don't have the right gear, you're going to die to that.
You're fucked. But in Terra, me and David went in 3 levels underneath in a 5-man dungeon with 2 people, a healer and a lancer, which is like a knight with a big lance. And it's very difficult to understand, but stick with me. Lancer has a lance. And what it is it's based on a mechanic of blocking and then using a lance. But using the lance, makes you vulnerable to attack, but it has a really long range. Okay, so the cool thing is if I block all the right times because they have set animations and stuff, I can actually remain completely unhurt. And David can save his mana and use it for hurting bad guys, right? Which is what we need. So it's all about execution. So once we ended up doing this whole dungeon after many wipes, trying to understand certain bad guys in polls. We ended up doing the entire dungeon ourselves. 3 levels under, it was only 2 people. And it was the most satisfying feeling ever in an MMO because of the fact of it was like...
so much more skill-based and less about the math of what our armor's doing.
I'm going to jump in, and Cecil will vouch for me because you've really just described Guild War II's combat system.
Yes, that's fun too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can do the same thing in like dungeons if you grab a couple people that know what they're doing and they're really skilled at those.
Yeah, you block and dodge based on animations. You can't have the same skills equipped. You got to equip the right utility skills to deal with that dungeon. So if there's like people that heal the boss walking towards it, as an engineer, I equip my net turret and throw it down so it stops those guys to give us a chance, right? So I wouldn't bring the same skills to every fight.
I have to agree. Guild Wars 2 PvP was some of the most high skill cap.
Oh my god, yeah.
Crazy. I played an elementalist, a staff elementalist, so I was switching between all my. That was insane because I remember when it came out, David and I think you too, JT, were like, "Oh, there's only 4 buttons." I was like, "Fuck that! I like complexity. I play StarCraft, so I like to be all over the place."
But it's like MOBAs. It's all about when you use the 4 buttons.
Oh my god, yeah, and it was all situational and zoning and oh man, and like and stacking. Oh man, as soon as I saw you could shoot fucking arrows through fire and they become fire arrows, I lost my shit. I was
that's pretty cool. Okay, so we would keep the skill-based combat system.
Yes.
No World of Warcraft just running through your skills. Okay, so we have a non-fantasy environment. We have skill-based combat. Talk about the lore. How would we make sure the story is gripping? Nicole, you play Destiny, and the story is one of the things that kind of holds people to that. What would you change in your perfect MMO?
Nicole, you work in porn. Porn is known for its plots. Can you help us?
Yeah, I have to go with the more boobs.
Start out a stink.
You're not wrong.
Delivering a pizza.
Oh
my god, it's the perfect delivery quest for MMOs.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there has to be somebody who delivers a pizza with a glory hole in it. There you go. What more lore do you need?
Well, considering the popularity of porn, you may not be wrong. Okay, so how do we fix the lore? And also, which MMO gets lore and story right?
Well, I'll be honest with you. It's not Destiny.
Oh, it's not Destiny.
No, they have an amazing, amazing characters, like for the NPCs, amazing backgrounds. All of it is really, really interesting. The problem is execution with the way that they did it. You start the game and you get your typical cut screens, that kind of thing, and you basically learn the lore through, this is the cool part, through the gear and the weapons and stuff like that you pick up. They have little blurbs on them that explain, like warriors from the past that used to use this weapon. It may be named after them, that kind of thing. The problem is you'd pick up these things, and at the bottom of the screen, it would pop up and say, "Ooh, you've picked up enough information for something called a Grimoire card." Okay, so I'm running around. This is the beginning. I'm running around. I'm inside the social area. Where the fuck do I go to look for my Grimoire card? There's not what I would think a library or some central database type of thing, since it's futuristic, that I could go and look at it. Bungie wants you to go to bungie.net and read about these Grimoire cards, and I'm like, this is an awesome story. By the time I sunk like 20 hours into it, I'm asking all these questions.
Great, but the delivery is a massive fail.
And I think now somebody like me, of course, I went and I read all of it, but the entire time I kept thinking to myself, nobody's gonna fucking do this. Why did they do this? So definitely don't do that. Execution is key.
So Cecil, one of the strong selling points of Guild Wars 2 is its massive lore base and the way it streamlines the lore to the players and makes them feel connected to the worlds. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Okay, so how do they get it right? What would you change? What would you keep?
Well, I think Guild Wars 2 is building off an amazing first game. Guild Wars 1 was an excellent game that had a lot of lore in it. So they had already built a world that you could have already found out about. Now, when you
a lot of the lore coming into the living world right now is from Guild Wars.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, it's a drawback directly from there. But like you said, they did a lot of different ways to pull you into it. Living World is a perfect example. MMOs a lot of times get stagnant until a new expansion comes out. But what they do is they drop new pieces of things that happen every couple of, I would say every month or so, and then you get a chance to have a new story that opens up to you, and again it introduces you to more lore, more stuff that is happening in that world, and the world will change. For example, during Living World Season 1, one of the major cities was reduced to it was totally destroyed, and you couldn't go there anymore to do the things that you would normally do, sell things.
Right. It was a fantastic map. It was an absolutely beautiful map. They clearly spent a lot of time on it. After 1 year into the game, like, they destroyed it. You can't access it anymore.
Yeah, and now there's a new version of that map. So
you have to avoid the pitfalls that Blizzard would fall into too, where you find a trope that works really well and then just keep going back to it. Oh,
Pandas.
the villain this year
Pandas.
is well, let's not even go there. But let's look at
Pandas.
Okay, GT, what are your thoughts on Pandarans?
That's the lamest shit I've seen in my life.
Hey, I like the pandas.
But not even looking at that. Like the idea of like, I was once a hero with a tragic flaw until I became corrupted by the very powers I fought against.
Oh, come on, Arthas. David, that's just nonsense.
Oh, sorry, I was being Sylvanas, not Arthas.
Kael'thas.
Different characters. Oh, Kael'thas. I meant Kerrigan. Sorry, I went to the wrong one.
Gul'dan, Thrall.
Blizzard's characters, that's true.
Yeah, it's just the fallen hero who became that which he hunted. This Nietzsche-esque, like, I stared too long into the void and now I'm a Death Knight. It was cool.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate here, because you remember all of those characters. You remember all of their names. If they're so one-dimensional, why is that?
I don't know. It might just be the monomyth thing where, like, good storytelling tends to be in patterns because we like it. It makes our brains happy.
But he did. Chris Metzen, when he just retired, the guy who wrote, one of their lead, or not, they're one of their lead writers since way back in the Warcraft 1 days. He got criticized heavily when he left because people were like, oh, good, now finally original content. So I think there's more to it than just monomyth, personally.
So Dave, you're the lit major. Like, what is the appeal of this? You know, obviously it's working because World of Warcraft is huge and people do praise it for its story. Like, what is this drawn from? Why do people like it so much?
Well, the redemption arc is one of the oldest and most powerful myths in our psyche, right? Like, this is why Jesus is a big deal. You might have heard of him. He was a carpenter who redeemed us. But like, it's not just that. Like,
I can't wait for that MMO to come out.
Like. Darth Vader's arc is about redemption. Luke Skywalker's arc is about redeeming his father. Like, we always see this.
Moral of the whole first show: Jesus is Darth Vader.
Yeah, exactly. No. No. But
makes that father line completely different.
It totally does, doesn't it?
Like, or Game of Thrones. Like, when you learn that a villain is redeemable, or at least has redemptive qualities, you become more invested in the character than if it's just, you know, like, I don't know, what was the villain in Guild Wars 2 when I was playing? It was like some kind of dragon who wanted to wipe out all of creation. Like, I couldn't relate to that, even though he probably had a really cool backstory. It never clicked with me.
Well, there you go. I mean, we're talking about the effect that we want the audience to get a hold of, which is understanding the bad guy. I mean, modern cinema and video games understands that, make interesting bad guys. But unfortunately, Blizzard really got into this. Well, the only way to do that is to make him a good guy first. And I'm like, or just make him like literally any bad guy in real life. There's some reason. Like, nobody gets up in the morning like, oh, I'm a bad guy today. Woo! You know, they have some goal they're trying to achieve, and they justify the things they do by ends justify the means. Like, okay, but I'm trying to get here. And if you can write that interestingly, I think you're all set.
Okay, so in your perfect MMO, how do you write plot that engages the player and makes them feel invested in the storyline and a major part of it? Because David talked about earlier in Guild Wars 2, you're following around Traherne and you're his sidekick, and that doesn't make you feel like the hero, the badass hero that saves the world, right? So how do we write story that makes the player want to be a part of it? That doesn't involve the redemptive hero arc. You get like one free pass. You can use that trick once, and then
you get one Lucifer archetype, one fallen angel, one fallen angel per mythos.
I can tell you, Destiny-wise, thank God they didn't do this stupid. I thought it was going to be a Halo, just another Halo clone when I started playing the beta, and then it was like the first beta that I played. Almost like it was the whole game. We played it all the time. My sister plays it with me, which was a big draw. But they didn't do the fallen hero thing. You are basically just a guy who is a dead body. Like, I don't know, centuries later.
It starts you off dead. It saves so much time later.
Yeah. It's just like this little robot thing called a ghost is floating around, and you know, shit's going down. They need soldiers, so they're going through and going, hey, look, this skeleton, I think I can make enough flesh for this dude, and then it wakes you, and then is like, here's a gun. Now go out there, and you need to fucking figure it out for yourself because we can't tell you shit. And that was challenging, and yet, you know,
that's like the worst general in the history of space.
yeah, pretty much.
Go out and figure out your shit. I can't tell you shit.
You probably have a lot of questions. You've been dead for a while. You're a skeleton man.
You're definitely not special. Now go out there and fucking try and fight against these things that are way more special than you are. So yeah, that was interesting to me. I was surprised because I figured they would just, you know, ride that fucking Master Chief thing for years. All
right, time's marching on a pace, so let's talk about this. Do MMOs have a future? And if they do have a future, what is it? For instance, I don't know if you've been following that Amazon has been poaching devs from Guild Wars 2 for some time now. They just announced that Amazon has created a game studio. They're putting out 3 games, one of which is an MMO. It's called A New World. And one of the things Amazon is doing, because Amazon bought Twitch, they're making their MMO so that it integrates with Twitch, whereas streamers can run like a dungeon or a raid and determine what happens to the players in that raid while on their stream.
Oh, is that something? Awesome.
So that's you say that's awesome. Is that something that would appeal to you guys as gamers? Cecil, start with you.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds innovative, and I think what everybody wants, I think, is something that's innovative. Nobody's going to play. You know, nobody's going to. I'm certainly not going to go play World of Warcraft. I've never played World of Warcraft, but I'm certainly not going to go start playing World of Warcraft, right? I mean, because it's not an innovative game. It's a at this point, what, 10-year-old game. So I feel like I'm not going to do that sort of thing. I want something that's gonna draw me in and be interesting. And I think that's a great idea.
Okay, Jeremiah, David, do MMOs have a future? And if so, what is it?
Yes, I think the big part of MMORPG, but MMOs in general, games in general becoming more hybrid. And we talked about one time in the past about RPG elements being taken into all different kinds of games now because people want to have tangible. They want to have growth in a video game. Like adventure games, even adventure games are starting to add in more and more RPGs. And adventures used to be like the one little island that did not get touched by RPGs. It was like, no, you're, Zelda, you could pick up new equipment, or a Link inside of Zelda, you pick up new equipment, but you're not going to you don't have a talent tree for Link. And Uncharted.
Right, you don't have a strength stat as Link.
Yeah, but then you get Tomb Raider that comes out, which is one of the greatest adventure games of all time, and god damn it, there's an RPG element, and it made it more fun. And so people realize, we're adding this in. Now, MMO is another one of these categorical modifiers, and so what it does is it just says, okay, so take what you're doing now and make everyone watch you. And you're like, well, yeah. I mean, you've probably heard of those studies of cyclists who they cycle faster when people are present, even down to roaches. Roaches move faster when other roaches are watching them. It's kind of a weird. That one's controversial, so don't take that too far. I criticize that heavily. But the point is that even mice, other smaller creatures can do this thing where we perform better in front of other people. We almost thrive because of the social functionality. And so I think the MMOs is it's like this. You remember old school games, right? Like you've been somewhat familiar with. Yeah. Okay. So
we grew up together, man. We played Chrono Trigger together. Of course, I remember this shit.
How about this? You go over to someone's friend's house. How often did this happen? They're like, hold on, let me get this cartridge. And then they stick it in and they go, check out my character, right? And you're like, I don't fucking care. Or if you do, that's great. But the point is, they want someone else to see their achievements, right? That's why you put trophies up on a cabinet and not down in stored in the attic. You put them somewhere so you want people to see.
And yet, where do all the trophies end up?
Yeah, it will.
Married to Donald Trump.
Oh.
Oh. Damn, the shades just come down. Okay, so. No, so that's what I think it is. It's adding that element of okay, now your friends can do it too, and it's like, whoa. I mean, it's why I think Nintendo is shitting its own bed. It's because they're obsessed with this couch co-op idea, and it's like, right, good, that's great, but also online. You couch co-op is limited by geography and by someone's ability to get to your house.
Right, they're trying to cash in on nostalgia from the 80s and 90s, and it's just you can do that without shooting yourself in the foot.
Enough already, though. With them, my God, Jesus, they need to stop.
Well. Yeah, adding MMO to FPSs, for example, with PlanetSide, which is one of my favorite MMO FPSs, one of the only ones. It was fun.
That was good.
Yeah, and it adds in let's do this with other people. It makes it one of my words that I love the most. It makes it more fecund, which means it has the ability to prosper and grow more and more. So like a tree, if you plant a tree in a yard that is a seed spawning tree, that's fecund, because not only does it give a tree in your yard, great, but it's going to lead to more and more and more, and that's going to lead to more. It's almost exponential in its growth. So
we think MMOs have a future. Let's talk. You guys are familiar with No Man's Sky, which was released recently. It was supposed to be a huge blockbuster, and it
was
failed.
Exactly what it was promised to be.
Exactly what it was promised to be, and it failed massively. Okay, so it is about what the MMO tries to do, because obviously this one failed. What do future MMOs need to take away from No Man's Sky to not repeat those mistakes? Cecil, let's start with you again.
Man, No Man's Sky seemed just hyper complicated to me. That's why I never really got it. When I saw the videos and stuff, I was like, no. I immediately know. It kind of felt like Minecraft too, and I feel like that's its own kind of genre. That's something else. I don't know that I would want to play that.
Yeah, it's funny like Minecraft without the ingenuity.
It's funny you say that it sounded like it was, or looked like it was complicated, when it ended up being that the damn thing was so fucking simple.
Is that it? Is that it?
Yes, yeah, it was.
That's a lot of it. You go to a planet, you look at the wildlife, you get enough resources to move to the next planet, rinse, repeat.
Oh, that was it. Oh, wow.
Yeah. No, like you're completely right with the Minecraft comparison. It was Minecraft in space, just with no Minecraft.
With no crafting.
With no building. That's it.
Right. You didn't build shit. All you did was you landed, you killed some, I don't know, for some God knows reason, some robots were following you
certainly not to survive.
Yeah, and you mined the same minerals and shit on every single fucking planet, and then you went to another planet and did the same goddamn thing. That's it.
And it was a big lonely world. Like you're in a galaxy with billions of planets, but you'll never see your friends.
But you'll never see, yeah.
Right, like the odds of you bumping into another human being are just astronomically small.
Has it ever
And yet
happened?
someone did it on the first day.
Oh.
Yep. Took them 12 hours, and two people, they were on the same planet in the exact same place, but you can't see each other.
Oh.
Why not?
See, I get annoyed if remember that zombie game we'd play, JT, and we'd spawn like a 30-minute walk away from each other. I'm like, 30 minutes down the road, we'll never find each other.
Daisy.
Yeah, so like
Jesus.
the size of the world is great, but you've got to be able to spawn near your friends. Otherwise, you're destroying the whole social aspect of the game.
Yeah.
Running in the dark, grabbing berries and shoving your face. You're just like, all you're eating is berries. So you just
Oh no,
need
H1Z1. That was H1Z1.
What?
H1Z1 was the one we played like that.
And what's worse is, how do you meet up with people? This is just common human nature. Let's say you and I are in a random city. How are we going to meet up, JT? I call you on the comms. What are you going to do?
Here's where I'm at. You come to me or tell me where you're at, and I'll go to you.
You're right, but are you standing in the middle of the woods, or how do I find you, JT?
Oh, look, there's a water tower. Go to the water tower.
Oh, a landmark!
On
You
this
mean
road,
fucking
yeah.
sniper position? Because that's what they all were. Because because people are naturally gonna migrate to where fucking people show up. So it's gonna be landmarks. And guess what landmarks are? They're tall buildings. Guess what tall buildings facilitate? Motherfucking sniper net. I hated that game. I would run.
It's like H1Z1 trying to find me, and his PTSD is kicking back in.
Oh, that game made me a cynical motherfucker.
I'd be running for like 30 minutes in the dark, like eating berries. Like I just, I'm like, JT, I'm all out of water. You're like, just make it to that water tower, bro. And then I get halfway there, and all of a sudden you hear, boom, dead. And I'm like, oh god, damn it! I'm so mad.
I don't know, but like the game making me a cynical motherfucker was part of the enjoyment of it. Because I remember I was in a house one time. I set up a fire inside a house, locked all the doors, and I'm sitting there with my knife and like 2 bullets in my guns, just trying not to freeze to death. And I see this guy looking in through the window, and I'm like, fucking dude, like I want to help you, but. Jeremiah, you and I helped the guy one time. We were out trying
and it was me and Jeremiah coming to your house. We're like, you invited us here, man. You
said you wanted to play Final Fantasy VII. One time, Jeremiah and I were out. We found a vehicle, which was really rare,
cool.
And we were going out to get materials to work on building our base. And we saw this guy on the road. And like, we're nice guys, so we want to help. But you can't just get out. This guy might have like a machine gun and just kill you and take all your shit, right?
It's like The Walking Dead. Like we want to be the good guys, but fuck, is he gonna screw us?
Yeah, so we like get out and we're on our voice chat. We're like, dude, lay down on the ground right now. Lay the fuck down, or I'm gonna shoot you.
We come out with our guns.
Okay, Rick.
So we're like 30 yards away from him. We drop some food and some bandages. We're like, you don't get the fuck up till we leave, man. You
It's like 10 paces away too. We're like 10 paces away, and I was like, if I see a motherfucking gun come out, because you can equip a gun, and you grab it out, and we're like, we're gonna pop a cap in your ass, okay? We want to leave you food, but we can't trust anyone. It was awesome. And so like we sit at 10 paces away, and we're like, on your belly, don't you turn over. If you stand up, you're dead. If you move, you're dead. If you talk, you're dead. We're like, we just want to help you, man.
we were the heroes of that story in our own minds, but that guy was fucking terrified.
No, we set up like an ice cream truck situation. Remember, JT? We got a cop car. It was set up like an ice cream truck situation.
Oh yeah.
We turned on the sirens, and we were the help mobile. We drive around, but like people didn't know who we were, so we're just like on this back road. And, like, oh shit! They start running, and we'd like cut them off in front of the car, and then we'd just be like, get down, get on the ground now. And they get down, and we just like drop bullets and run away.
But I like that because like it's not some drafted story by the devs that tells you that your character needs to be afraid. Like the fear and anxiety is happening directly to you as the player. And I think there's something to that. And it couldn't happen if like 95% of all gamers weren't dicks and would shoot you for a candy bar in game.
You can always trust that statistic.
I think it lowers the people it appeals to, because I gotta be honest with you, JD, I'm 100% with you, because there were times where like, remember we were trying to snipe out that one, we had these people who built a base near us, and we just wanted to be left the fuck alone.
On the road, and they put spikes across the road so no one can drive.
And we have no way to know whether they're good or bad. So I was like out there, and we're talking over comms, and like I'm out there with like my sniper rifle with like 5 rounds in it.
Yeah,
but I'm just
I've got a pickup truck, and you're just like waiting to jump in case they fire back.
Yeah, he's like down the road, and we're talking. And I was like, I see someone. Oh, he's doing this, he's doing that, and like. But it was legit, man. But
yeah, you had to scout out other bases to see what defenses they had.
It was fun in that sense, but it was a little overboard in the sense of like mass appeal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, okay, so let's change the subject now. I feel like we've done a good job with MMOs, and man, now I want to play H1Z1 again.
I know.
Okay, so vice presidential debate.
Oh wait, before we get into that,
post-apocalyptic dystopia.
No shit. The thing that I think it was JT mentioned about the being able to, or Amazon, that's what it was. That you were talking about how Amazon was making a game where the people who were watching or something like that are able to make the decision.
Yeah, streamers on Twitch can alter what happens to the players.
So cool.
You can already do that on the PlayStation 4.
No shit.
What?
They have a God, I cannot remember what the name of it is. I've only done it once with it was some horror game I was playing with my daughter, and so we had her pick things, and so I saw it. It popped up that I could have other people.
Speaking of popped up, Jeremiah's got a huge erection over there.
What? But yeah, what? I wish I could remember the name of it, but it was essentially sounds exactly like, I don't know about the Amazon thing. I'll have to look it up, but it sounds exactly the same type of thing. It popped up there and said, would you like to broadcast this and allow other users to make the decisions for you inside the game? And I was like, okay. And I almost did it, but then my daughter wanted to be the one to pick all the stuff that we did. So I just went with hers, and I meant to go back and do it, but then I haven't played PS4 in a while. But yeah,
they got some other examples of that, like Twitch Plays Pokemon. There was just a huge viral surprise success, which I suspect is kind of the precursor to this type of game design.
Was that Daylight that you were playing?
Me? Oh no, it was Layers of Fear, I think is what it's called.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's like it's not like a very popular. It's a very like indie. It was on like $5 or something like that type of thing. But it was I had never seen the thing before, and I'm pretty sure it did not have anything to do with like any outside, like a third party. I'm pretty sure it was all a PlayStation thing. I don't think Twitch was like had something to do with helping them out with it. I think it's theirs. But yeah, when you said that, I was like, that sounds exactly like that thing I had pop up on my screen. But anyway, I just wanted to. It popped into my head.
I had no idea there was someone else doing that, so that's good to know.
Yeah, I had no clue about the Amazon thing. I'm going to have to look that shit up. It sounds cool, because I wanted to do it with that one. I'm going to have to go back and actually try it and see if I can tell you guys what it's like.
Yeah, I might not ever even play the game. I might just get on Twitch and fuck with people. That sounds
yeah, that does, yeah. I think it'd be cool to sit there and have somebody do that. Pick all the horrible things for me where I get massacred every time I open a door.
You wouldn't believe how many porns start with that exact scenario.
Oh, yeah, see? Exactly. Yes, they do.
All right, so we bill ourselves as the intersection of politics, atheism, and gaming. So to stay true to our name, vice presidential debate. Your reactions. David, start.
Braggadocious.
Best. He has all the words, the best words.
The best. But he's a lit major. He's got to have the
I was grading tests while I was watching that, and it was the worst test I'd ever graded. So I already had a low opinion of the future of our intellectual realms. And then I was watching Donald Trump just act less mature than the high schoolers I teach, and then blame his microphone. The only thing wrong with your microphone, Trump, is that it was on when it wasn't your turn to speak. That's what was wrong with your microphone. It was.
No
it
shit.
was ridiculous.
Okay, raise your hands. Shot callers during debates. Are we in favor?
Oh, yeah.
Just all the time as a rule, yeah.
Okay. Cecil, vice presidential debate. How'd you react? What did you think?
I think most of the debate was essentially Pence just disagreeing with Kane on what Donald had said, when in actuality Donald had said all those things. I mean, really, that's all it was. And I had seen all the clips leading up to this because I follow politics so closely. So I had seen all the different things that he had said, and every time Pence said, "Oh, he never said," I'm like, "Are you on the fucking moon?" No.
Have you met your running mate?
He fucking said it. And the problem is that the American people, especially the people that are watching that, they don't care about what the truth is. They only care about who comes off better. And I don't know that Kane came off better than Pence in that particular situation.
Jeremiah, what'd you think?
Yeah, I agree. There was just a mass pinstration on the thing. But no, it was exactly
now
the same
who's
thing.
got the best words?
I think Pence shocked me in how well he did. Not in debate, but how well he composed himself, and
his rhetoric, his
it was on
Lied
point.
his ass off, but his presentation was
No, but he
stellar.
came off as like the adult in the room who's like being patient with the petulant child when it was factually the other way around.
Kane, god damn it, fucking Clinton, would you stop picking bad politicians? She needs to pick like a really smooth ass vice president. Like, look at Joe fucking cool Biden over here. He would have been another awesome VP if he could do it again. But my point is that
I remember like Nate Silver saying that Hillary Clinton picking Tim Kaine signals that she thinks she's got the election won already.
Yeah,
because
it's
she
pretty
didn't
weird.
pick somebody like that.
Tim Kaine is just such a. I mean, he seems like a nice guy, but you don't get your next door neighbor who's like, "Howdy, neighbor." You don't get them in a debate on your side.
Right, he's a good leader, a smart senator, very much a wonk in terms of
skilled
policy.
harmonica player.
Yeah, but not someone you put on stage to debate.
Guys, he speaks Spanish too, guys. I don't know if you knew. But
Oh.
yeah, I guess that's a big fucking selling point. The dude is bilingual. I don't know.
Actually.
We don't talk to them anyway. They're all rapists.
Bump gets his way. We're just going to trebuchet him over that wall anyway.
That'd be the next season of Living World and Guild Wars 2, just trebuchet
shit over a
Like,
wall.
I'll be honest, I'll confess, I was a hardcore Bernie supporter where I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, who I'm going to vote for. But because at some point early on, Trump seemed like a wild card where I was like, let's just risk it. What the fuck? Let's burn this place down.
Oh my god!
And then and then he announces Pence as his running mate. And as a longtime cognitive dissonance leader, I was well acquainted with Pence's fuckery from Indiana. Like he made the news a lot on your show, Cecil. And I was like, nope, that clinches it. Now I cannot let Trump anywhere near the White House. This is gonna be Saudi Arabia up in here.
Yeah, I think I did too.
Oh, sorry, Jeremiah.
I mean, there was that like small percentage of a theory of like, well, he's given a lot to the Democratic campaign. There's all these videos of him saying like, I'd never be a Republican. There's him.
There's no way he's conservative as he's appearing.
Yeah, and so it's like, man, maybe this is a long con. Like, if anyone's gonna be fine standing up there being a buffoon and standing across from Hillary Clinton, maybe it's this. I'm not saying that I thought this was the most probable situation. I was just holding on to that hope. But goddamn, did he ruin that with Mike Pence? As soon as he grabbed him, I was like, well, there you go. I mean, this guy's going all in.
And he's talking Santorum and Chris Christie, like all of the common names that I've learned from atheist news channels like Cognitive Dissonance. I'm like, wow, it's like a who's who of fuck ups in this like cabinet he's proposing.
I told this story a couple times, and I'll tell it again. But one of the peoples in Kasich's camp was contacted by Donald Trump Jr. And Donald Trump Jr. said he wanted Kasich to be the vice president for Donald Trump. Donald Trump wanted him. And Kasich said, well, what would I do? Kasich's camp asked, what would I do? And Kasich was told that he would run domestic and foreign policy.
Yep, I've heard,
He asked him, he said, well, what the fuck is Trump going to do? And the answer was, he's going to make America great again. That was the answer.
Good distribution of labor.
And so the terrifying thing here, though, is that you have to imagine he made the same deal to Pence. So if he gets elected, Pence is running the country.
Right.
Let that sink in just for a half a second before you.
That's what got me off the fucking moral high horse of like, I don't know, Jill Stein. I mean, she loves she loves preventable diseases and thinks Wi-Fi causes cancer, but at least I'm not rewarding the Democratic Party.
Well, and you have to have zero fucking like self-awareness to think that we should have been throwing a fit 60 fucking years ago about a two-party system. Yeah. So I mean, when people are like, you're throwing your vote away, I'm like, you're right. No, fuck you. In this election, you are. But in a lot of other elections, like I could sit down and have a goddamn conversation with Mitt Romney. A guy has totally different ideas than me, but he's not a madman, right? I mean, he just has a fucked up, ignorant way of how people behave, and so he thinks that
he's just wrong, and lots of decent people are wrong.
Right, he does not understand psychology, so but a lot of people don't, so I forgive him of that.
But he's not human garbage. Like the option, there's no moral way not to vote for Hillary right now. I don't want to like be too bombastic, but he has to be stopped at all costs. Like this is not the time to fuck around and be like, let's make
3 to 4 Supreme Court justices on the line.
Right, or even one or zero. Like I want to be able to travel and not pretend I'm Canadian. Like that's my goal for the next 4 years.
All right, Nicole, you get your reaction to the VP debate. Go.
It was after the first 15 minutes, all I kept thinking was, I am watching a future Hillary Clinton commercial that they're just going to edit and have Pence saying, no,
Man,
he didn't say that. And then boom, they would have the clip of Trump saying that. No, he didn't say that. And then they'd have another clip. That was the whole, it just like Cecil said, that was all he did the entire time was lie for Trump, saying that he didn't say things. And then of course the one, because I saw the Twitter tag everywhere, that Mexican thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that.
Well, you thought because you work in porn.
Well, yeah, there's that.
He did have to concede.
You whipped out that Mexican thing again.
That's right, yeah.
He did have to concede at one point. He said something like, well, he's not a practiced politician. He had to concede at one point to say that.
Tim's question was, if Donald Trump wouldn't do that, why did he say he would do that?
Yep.
And the immediate response was, well, he's not a polished politician. I'm like, no, he's a fucking liar. Like, he's not a polished politician.
Think about him.
Yeah.
That's like asking the guy who does my lawn, be like, you said you were trying to show up Tuesday, but you didn't. And he's like, well, I'm not a practiced politician. Like,
Exactly.
Oh my God, there's no excuse for everything.
when you fucking say something, you do it, or you're going to get consequences.
I don't know why in this era of technology where we can put fucking holograms on like the political news, why we can't just have on-screen fact-checking happening during these debates. Like that should just be the thing we do.
They say they don't want like the somebody interviewed the it's the what was his name, Mike Wallace, and the lady.
idea has been brought up. They flat out said they don't want to.
Yeah, Mike Wallace flat out even told them that
which is a failure of the Fifth Estate as an institution. Like they should.
Yeah, the media. What the fuck is your job? That's what you're there for.
The problem is that the Republicans don't trust anybody but Fox News, and the liberals don't trust anybody if they are Fox News. So, and the debates have to be spread out amongst those different places. So if it's on CNN, nobody's going to believe the ticker. No Republican is going to believe the ticker if it's on CNN. They're just not.
Yeah. Which is so emblematic of what's wrong with our culture right now, that we've become so tribalized that we can't even agree on objective fact anymore because it has to come from a source that's on our team.
Yep.
Jeremiah, Psych Man, how do we fix it?
Well, okay. So, are you familiar with the Robbers Cave, the Shreve experiment?
I'm not.
Okay. So what they did was, this is fucked up, man. This is part of psychology's history. This is a long-standing like running joke with me and David on our podcast. He's always like, man, you guys are fucked up. I'm like, we are, but we're past that now. Like, we don't just shock babies for no reason, but
anymore.
That you know of. Yeah,
You
anymore.
have a good reason to shock the baby.
Yeah, we have to get it past an IRB before we can shock him.
Just can't shock fetuses because those are human lives.
Yeah, and fetuses' life matters.
Because of the state.
Anyway, so what they did was and stop me if this sounds familiar because I don't want to shit all over you, and not shit all over you, just talk forever.
You don't want to condescend us. That means you're talking down to us.
That means you're talking down, yeah. So for you fucking non-PhDs. But no, it's these kids that they got, which were a bunch of I think they were like 9 to 12-year-olds, right? Young white kids who were from pretty affluent homes. They were like professors' sons. And they took them out on this kind of like
church is running this experiment.
And they took them out, and they came back and were told they can't what happened. No, they went to this place called Robbers Cave. It's like a little like resort, or not resort, a camping trip for kids, right? You know, like old Cub Scout stuff, right? Little houses. And then they wanted to look at, this is so fucked up. They wanted to determine what it would take to get in-group, out-group bias and how bad it would get over simple tasks, right? Because they had seen these camps go other ways. So they said, all right, so you guys sleep over here, you guys sleep over here. And they ended up coming up with names on their own. They generated their own names. It was like snakes and something, I forget. And then, like sharks and jets kind of idea, right? And then pretty soon, like within the first day, they had a couple regular interactions, and they would have competitive interactions, things like that. They would scale it up and watch. But already kids started like calling each other names and came up with sort of slurs for the other side. And this is before they even started competition. So eventually, long story short, this escalated, and these kids got downright kind of bad. And they were just like, all right, we need to end this. So the way that they did it was they took kind of an outward bad guy. That's the best way to explain it in short terms. But in other words, you unite two opposing groups or two separate groups against a common evil, right? So they had to determine, I think it was solve a water situation that was leaking, and if they didn't get it fixed, they wouldn't be able, they'd have to leave early or some nonsense. It doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. The task has to be something that threatens you both, and that you both need to work together to do it. And then at the end, these people, all their biases against each other dissolved away, essentially, functionally. And so we've
So what you're saying
replicated.
is Donald Trump is the only one who can unite America.
No, I think what we need is some kind of environmental existential crisis that can unite both parties that threatens all of humanity. But
We need an alien invasion.
where will
Zombie
we find?
apocalypse.
Yes.
Yeah, that would do it. Yeah, because those sorts of things resolve away. Like at war, nobody's like they're like returning fire and like God damn Negroes or something. You know, no one's doing that because you're battle buddies. You know, your brothers.
I mean, we have that, but it's a Chinese conspiracy, climate change. So I guess we need something.
Is Donald Trump just Dick Butt 32 in real life?
He's the Rouge that wiped our party.
God damn it! I knew it.
And the reason why he had those tiny fingers, he couldn't reach all the way across the keyboard.
All right.
I can't reach the trigger. Orange Beaver 69. That's his name.
Oh my God.
Oh my God!
And that's Nicole's login at work.
Yep.
Okay, so I can't handle this subject anymore. Let's move on to esports. And I know you guys don't necessarily follow esports as passionately as I do, so let's talk about some meta events taking place. This last week, the Philadelphia 76ers bought into a League of Legends and CSGO franchise. Shaquille O'Neal invested in them, and he follows Rick Fox, who's already invested in those esports. The Sacramento Kings have bought into League of Legends franchises, right? This is and last year alone, esports were a bigger industry than professional hockey. This seems to be on the up and up. Does this mean that esports has a future, or is this a passing fad that won't stick?
Who all in here is about esports besides I'm a fan. Anyone else?
I watch the Guild Wars esports.
Oh, and then
See, like
they
this.
just had Worlds.
That's it. That's all I've seen that. Only because my husband plays, but that's all. I don't follow it.
I lived for 2 years in a country where you could go to a hotel room, turn on the TV, and they're airing a StarCraft tournament. So it's definitely got enough traction where it could stick. It's stuck before in other places. I don't see why it couldn't take off here the way it has in South Korea.
Okay. What do you think the ceiling for esports might be?
Through the roof. Because this is one of these things. Yeah. Like, what's the barrier to entry to football? Why don't you and I just go out and put on some pads and go play football?
I was born 5'8" and white.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is why I'm not in the NBA right now.
So physical, right?
Right. There's physical barriers. If I worked out every day, I probably still couldn't play in the NFL.
Sure. Or I mean, just you and I in like an amateur league, money because it costs a lot to get pads and all the equipment you need, and then people. You got to get a shit ton of people to show up and play, and so that holds us back. Basketball is more popular, like pickup games of basketball, because it's easy. The barrier to entry is less. Esports,
you need a ball and a court.
Yeah, 2 balls and a court. Just 1 ball actually. Trying to make that weird. Trying to make that weird. I couldn't even do it.
Admirably.
Just 2 big old heavy balls. I'm done. Okay, so and
Leave
with
the
like
porn
video,
to me, man.
yeah, I need to. So the barrier to entry for video games is even less. It's not much money, right? And then it's not. It doesn't have the physical aspect. I mean, it does. You know, you can't. Well, I don't know actually. You can, as long as you're there mentally, you can play.
Right.
So
I mean, if you're born without arms, you're going to have a problem. But I mean, these are very rare cases. Like it's never going to be perfect. But as far as barrier to entry goes, it's really low.
Like most people who play basketball, while you're playing, you watch NBA or watch college basketball. Same thing with football. If you played football, a lot of times you end up doing it, and other people, not just those. But I'm just saying that heavily influences what you watch. And so, how many people are consuming video games, especially free-to-play games, where the barrier to entry is almost negligent? It's just learning curve. So I think, yeah. So I think it's on the rise. It's going to get bigger and bigger. If you look at places like Korea, and then you look at places like China, and then you look at places like Europe, and I'm going kind of the biggest esports scenes to the smallest, and then you look at the NA, where we're all developing, even like South America and Southeast Asia. It's a small but growing sport in Australia. I mean, I think it's going to well overtake them. And I said the same thing about Ultimate Fighting Championship, MMA. Back in the day, people were like, no, it's barbaric. It'll never go anywhere. I was like, bro, it's going to be big. And then it just sold for $4 billion. And I was like, fucking told you 10 years ago, bitch. So it's the same thing here.
Now, Cecil knows, and you said earlier, Jeremiah, Guild Wars 2 has one of the more complex and intellectually rewarding PvP combat experiences out there. But ships didn't draw particularly big audience, whereas something like League of Legends, which I still think is really complex and really intellectually heavy, still doesn't have as demanding a combat system as Guild Wars 2. So why does League of Legends succeed so much over games like CSGO, Guild Wars 2?
Who are you asking?
Whoever wants to answer.
I can give Mike time if you want. I don't want to step on people's feet.
Knock yourself out, man. We're all equals here.
I wonder, I've never played League of Legends, so I'm just going off of what I think League of Legends is. Now, I've watched it once or twice. It is only PvP, right? Like, that's all it is, right? You just sign in and you just play PvP. And I think that that with Guild Wars, there's like a whole world sort of thing that you can do. And I know you can jump in and you can start and you can play some PvE, but you have to do some things to get into the PvP realm. I feel like, with that game, it's PvP only, period. But there's other stuff with Guild Wars. There's other stuff that you can do. So I don't know that. I mean, I know that they're having a really hard time getting a draw for those PvP matches. They're having a hard time getting viewership. But it also may be just that it is so complex. Sometimes it is kind of hard to watch. It's kind of hard to know what's going on. There's so many different effects that are happening on the screen. You're not quite sure where. Sort of where people are and what's happening to them. So it actually, because it's complex, it's hard to pay attention to. So maybe there might be some aspect there. I don't know how simple a game League of Legends is.
Simple at its heart, difficult to master. But what I'm getting from you is that you think the fact that League of Legends is exclusively competitive gives it an edge with achieving an audience.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeremiah, you said you had something at the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, again, barrier to entry. So imagine you take someone that's not from America, come to watch American football, the Super Bowl, biggest event in possibly, besides World Cup, in the world, that happens every year, okay? So you get someone to come watch that. They don't know what the fuck's going on, and they certainly don't appreciate nuance, like someone spiking the ball in the fourth quarter. They're like, why the fuck did he just throw it on the ground? Like, they don't understand what's going on. Or if they go to like a if they go do like a blitz and they all move all their back line to the front, the defense does. Someone who knows what's going on is like, motherfucker. Like, we understand the nuance of what that entails and what you're risking. And like when I watch League of Legends, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like I watch this guy go me, and then some guys die, and I'm like, or some guys don't, and I'm like, seems like people should have died there. Seems like those people shouldn't have. I don't know what's going on. But then if I like watch Heroes of the Storm, which is a MOBA I play, I understand. I see a positioning on someone. I'm like, ooh, bold. They put Arthas against Vala, or whatever. I understand what that means and the risks they're taking. So it makes it.
That speaks to complexity, where if Jeremiah, who lives Heroes of the Storm, to where he plays it like every day, can't follow a League of Legends game, which is as close as chimpanzees and humans are genetically to each other, like they're very closely related, then what chance is your average person flipping through ESPN going to be able to follow a League of Legends game
So that's Guild the thing. Like League of Legends is a free-to-play game. Guild Wars is not, or wasn't originally, and so. I think that was kind of one of the things. And on top of that, like you said, to play PvP, you don't just, ready up. You've got to get gear. You've got to it's a whole process to get there. So the barrier to entry is even larger, even if it was a free to play. So that's what I think it is.
So time is marching on a pace. David's having to go. Nicole's going to have to go soon. So let's wrap it up. Maybe we can do an esports episode some other time, and I can pick your brains on the future of esports. What would it would take to get you guys particularly involved if you're not. And let's just give everybody 30 seconds to close. We'll come to Nicole last since she's a co-host. Jeremiah, let's start with you. 30 seconds to close. Say anything you want.
Dick's out for Harambe, man. I don't know. So if I had just a limited amount of time to plug something, to be Dick's out for Harambe. No, I guess.
Put that in the show notes.
Yeah. I honestly don't have anything. I feel like I talked so much that I just like talking about video games.
All right, fuck you, David. 30 seconds to close. Plug a game you like, plug a show, project, whatever. Talk about anything.
Oh, shit. Okay. So, shows I like. I heard Luke Cage is going to be good. Haven't started yet, but...
Community.
Anytime a black guy in a hoodie can be shot and not die, it's a step in the right direction for
wow.
Wow. Oh my God! Hey, and David's taking his girlfriend out for her birthday tonight. You guys have fun.
Dick's out for. Well, never mind. Go
ahead. Cecil, 30 seconds to close. Anything you want. Plug your show. Plug a game. Talk about anything.
So with the Scathing Atheist recently, we just raised $25,000 for a charity called Modest
Oh
Needs.
my God! Brag, my
fucking guy.
Fucking brag. We got Jesus on the show tonight, guys. Saving everybody.
You said anything, fucker.
Oh, that's really bad.
Bill Gates was going to be guesting.
So yeah,
30 minutes to
fuck you
razz
all.
others.
How's that? Suck on that. There we go.
We were actually just going through Donald Trump's dumpster in the back and found 25 grand.
Hey, they found this old check. I didn't know. So.
And a dead model. Who knew?
I made it out to poor people. So there you go.
That was the most fun charity I've ever experienced. Like just hearing you guys rip into all those poor charitable people who wanted to be insulted.
I know everybody wants to get insulted, and you're just like, wait, did you read the rules?
I know, it's like they're showing up in a gimp suit. Just hurt me. Here's money.
Yeah,
oh, that's awesome. No, I love to see atheists doing good. Not only because I like seeing good done in the world, but as a bonus off in a distant side lane, I like seeing the narrative that we're all terrible people undermined.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And Cecil, thanks for coming on the show. David,
hey,
thanks for coming on the show. Nicole, you're the co-host. 30 minutes to close it out. What do you got?
30 minutes.
30 seconds. No, not 30 minutes.
I was going to say, oh my God. No.
I'm not a polished politician, all right?
Actually, I have a question. I don't play or have never played League of Legends or Guild Wars 2.
I will teach you.
Okay. Which one should I start with?
League of Legends. Actually, no, Guild Wars 2. You like story-driven games, Guild Wars 2 all the way.
Okay. And all of you play Guild Wars 2, or is it?
I played Guild Wars 2. I know they have accounts, and maybe if we bat our eyelashes, they'll jump in one evening.
Okay. All right.
Dust off the level 80 elementalist and see what happens.
I'll have to jump on that. That's a computer only, right? Computer only.
Yes, and I'll tell you what. If we ever do it as a group, I'll stream it. We'll all just like run around. Because I remember one time my brother and I, we got some friends together in the World versus World, where there's like these massive things running around. We picked out one guy. It was like 10 of us, and just walked around and treated him like the king. Like, yes, sire. What do you need? Like, we all just like kneeled in front of him at all times, just followed him around. And, like, I would do shit like that in a second. So yes, if we ever introduce you to Guild Wars, I'll stream the shit out of it.
Oh yeah, I'd be down for that. I would run around
like
be the complete noob. Yeah, everybody make fun of me on the stream.
So from Nicole and myself, hosts of Press Start, David and Jeremiah, thank you so much for lending us your expertise. Cecil, thank you so much for lending us yours and swinging by the show. I had a blast. We'll have to have all of you back sometime.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah.
All right, take care, everybody.
See you, dude.